Speaking of important meetings, here's another one that's making headlines and ruffling feathers. Vladimir Putin is set to meet Kim Jong. The Russian president is on a rare foreign trip. He is visiting North Korea. Not for the first time, though. Putin has been there before, way back in the year 2000. So his last visit was 24 years back when Kim's father, Kim Jong, was in charge. Putin was the president of Russia then too, in the year 2000. And now the junior Kim is at the helm in Pyongyang, and Putin is still the president of Russia, and he's on a trip that the world is watching closely. North Korea is going all out to welcome Putin. Reports say a large parade has been planned. And here's something that we must tell you here. North Korea is a hermit kingdom. It is disconnected from the world, and it has tight controls on the press. So the world relies on satellites to track what's happening in North Korea. And in the past few days, these satellites have captured some activity. In Pyongyang's Central Square, apparently a grandstand has been built there, and North Koreans have been practicing marching formations. This is what the satellites picked up. Then earlier today, a Russian journalist managed to reach Pyongyang, and he was able to send out a video through Telegram. This is what it shows, what Pyongyang looks like before Putin's arrival. So Putin is set to receive a grand welcome. The picture should be worth looking at. What about the conversations? What's on the agenda? What are the expectations? There's been a fair bit of speculation on this. Russia and North Korea are expected to sign a new treaty of friendship, and Kremlin has been dropping hints. Listen to this.
North Korea is our neighbor. It is a friendly country to us, with which we are developing bilateral relations. We will continue to do this. The potential for the development of our bilateral relations is significant. Again, we believe that our right to develop good relations with our neighbors should not be a concern to anyone and should not be challenged by anyone.
We want to be friends and no one should challenge this. He's basically talking about the West, of course. They're not happy with this turn of events and deepening ties between Russia and North Korea. The West is not happy. You see, Pyongyang has supported Russia's war in Ukraine. In 2022, they made a deal. Russia wanted North Korean artillery. Pyongyang wanted food in exchange. So both sides agreed to a barter. And Pyongyang has kept its word. It sent more than 6,000 containers to Russia. They were filled with munitions. Earlier this year, South Korea released an estimate. It said that the North may have sent more than 3 million artillery shells or 500,000 122 rounds. These are shells that are used in howitzers usually. In return, Pyongyang got food, also some raw materials to keep its weapons factories going. So it was a win-win deal. Now a deeper partnership is on the horizon. And at the core of this will be military supplies. Russia wants 3 things from North Korea: more ammunition, construction workers, and soldiers to fight the war in Ukraine. In return, North Korea could ask for more food supplies from Russia and more support for their military plans, specifically North Korea's missile and satellite programs. They've been working on these for years now, and any kind of support from Russia would help them. But is Putin willing to go that far to help North Korea with military and tech transfers? Well, it's very much a possibility because Putin's list of friends is short at the moment. He counts North Korea as an ally. He wants stronger resistance against the West, and for that, he's ready to work with Pyongyang. Earlier this month, Russia took an aim at South Korea.
We observe with regret and concern the situation around the Korean peninsula that is escalating and degrading day by day. This step by South Korea leads to escalation and a significant increase in the risk of dangerous incidents.
You heard that. Moscow blames Seoul for the recent tensions on the Korean peninsula. This region has been on the edge. In fact, shots were fired as recently as today on the border between the two Koreas. The North is building anti-tank barriers. They are reinforcing roads and planting landmines. North Korean soldiers are involved in this construction activity, and South Korea says that they crossed the demarcation line this morning. That's the de facto border between the two Koreas. Soldiers from the north are said to have crossed it today, so the south fired warning shots, forcing them to retreat.
The North Korean military is carrying out various types of activities at the frontline area, including making barren land, planting landmines, reinforcing tactical roads, and installing unidentified structures which appear to be anti-tank barriers.
That's not all. Pyongyang has indulged in psychological warfare as well. It's been sending trash-filled balloons to the south. It's also using loudspeakers at the border to blast propaganda messages. So the biggest provocations, I must say, are the missile tests. North Korea has been upping its game. In 2023, they test-fired more than 30 ballistic missiles. This year, they've conducted 5 tests so far, and these tests raise the threat of a conflict. The US and South Korea have responded with military drills, but Pyongyang remains undeterred. Now imagine what happens if Russia steps in and provides military aid to Kim. It will completely change the power dynamics, not to mention the security situation in the Korean peninsula. Needless to say, the West is not enthused by the prospect.
We're not concerned about the trip. What we are concerned about, Trevor, is the deepening relationship between these two countries. Not just because of the impacts it's going to have on the Ukrainian people, because we know North Korean ballistic missiles are still being used to hit Ukrainian targets, but because there could be some reciprocity here that could affect security on the Korean peninsula.
A war on the Korean peninsula, the last thing that the world needs and the very last thing that the West can afford. They're already struggling to pay the bills for Ukraine. Putin's visit to Pyongyang is forcing them to consider all such scenarios.